Commander, the scans are still showing the same readings, Vexthul whispered through the comm. 17 life signs in classroom 7B, 16 heartbeats. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, Zilak stared at his tactical display, mandibles clicking in frustration. 40 years of perfect executions, and now this. Run it again. I've run it 6 times. The anomaly is consistent. Vexthul's voice carried an edge of panic that elite Velkari assassins weren't supposed to possess. One of them is moving, breathing, metabolizing, but has no detectable heartbeat. Through the reinforced observation panel, Zilax could see into classroom 7B. 17 students sat at their desks, taking notes on their datapads. His target, the Draxian counselor's spawn, sat in the 3rd row, completely vulnerable. The contract was clear: eliminate the target, make it look like an environmental failure, prevent the war vote. 3 star systems depended on this operation succeeding in the next 20 minutes, but one of those 17 students shouldn't exist according to every scanner they had. Which one is the anomaly? Zilax demanded. 3rd row, left side, brown hair, light skin tone, the human exchange student. Zilax's thermal vision focused on the girl, Charlotte Brown, according to the station roster, 16 standard years old, from Earth. She was currently doodling something in the margin of her datapad, completely oblivious to the 12 armed killers studying her from the hallway. His scanner showed her surface temperature fluctuating impossibly, matching the ambient room temperature 1 second, then spiking to 310 Kelvin, then dropping back down. Her skeletal structure appeared normal, but the density readings kept throwing error codes, and that heartbeat, or lack thereof. "Sir, what are your orders?" Vexthul pressed. "We have 17 minutes before the class change. If we're going to deploy the gas and execute..." "Hold position." Zilax pulled up his comm to handler frequency. "Kael'thas, we have an unprecedented complication." The handler's response came immediately. "Define complication, Commander. The contract window is closing." "There's a human in the target classroom." Silence stretched for 3 full seconds. In their line of work, that was an eternity. "A human," Kael'thas finally said, voice flat. "From Earth." "Confirmed. Exchange student. All our scans are reading her as simultaneously alive and deceased. Her biology is contradicting every sensor we have." "Stand by." The comm went silent. Zilax watched Charlotte Brown lean over to another student, pointing at something on their datapad. She smiled, said something that made the other student laugh. Completely, utterly normal teenage behavior, except his combat AI was flagging her as a Class 5 biohazard threat. "Commander," one of his squad spoke up, "could the scans be malfunctioning, some kind of interference?" "I considered that." Zilax cycled through different scanning modes. Every single one showed the same impossible results. "But all our equipment passed diagnostics an hour ago. The scans are accurate. We're just reading something that shouldn't be possible." Through his enhanced vision, he watched Charlotte stretch her arms above her head, yawning. The motion looked casual, relaxed. His scanner immediately flagged it as a threat display, detecting muscle density that would make a Corvan battle beast look fragile. Kael'thas's voice crackled back on the comm. "Commander, I've pulled the human's file from station records. You need to abort the mission." "Abort? We have 17 minutes." "Listen to me very carefully," Kael'thas interrupted, and Zilax had never heard that tone from his handler before. Fear. Earth is classified as a Deathworld. Gravity, 1.0 standard G. Atmospheric pressure rated as lethal to 89% of known species. Native predator count in the extreme category. The human child in that classroom evolved to survive on a planet that would kill most of us within hours. Zilax felt his combat instincts screaming warnings he'd learned to trust over 4 decades. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that deceased reading, that might just be her resting state from our perspective. I'm saying we have incomplete data on human biology. I'm saying..." Kael'thas paused. I'm saying I just cross-referenced our scanner readings with the 3 other documented encounters between security forces and humans. All 3 incidents resulted in total casualties for the non-human parties. She's a child, a student. She's a Deathworld predator sitting in a classroom full of targets, and you're about to deploy lethal gas into her environment. Kael'thas's words hit like kinetic rounds. How do you think she'll respond? Charlotte Brown chose that moment to raise her hand, asking the instructor a question. Her voice carried clearly through the door, pleasant, curious, utterly harmless sounding. His scanner registered it as a threat vocalization capable of causing structural damage at higher volumes. New orders, Zilak said to his squad, instinct overriding decades of protocol. Everyone fall back to secondary positions. Do not, under any circumstances, let that human see you. Sir, Vexthul sounded confused. We're aborting for one anomalous student? We're repositioning, Zilax corrected, already backing away from the classroom door, because I don't have enough data to proceed, and in 40 years, that's kept me alive. Through the observation panel, Charlotte Brown returned her attention to her datapad, completely unaware that 12 of the galaxy's most dangerous killers were retreating from a 16-year-old girl who just wanted to pass her math class. We don't have time for repositioning, Kael'thas cut through Zilax's retreat order. Sector Command is breathing down my neck. The vote happens in 2 hours. Execute the contract now. Work around the human. Zilax's tactical brain warred with his survival instincts. The mission was critical. 3-star systems would burn if the Draxian spawn lived to influence that vote, but every sensor reading screamed danger. Clean protocols, he finally ordered. Seal the room, deploy the Viridian gas, 30 seconds to full saturation, then we breach for precision strikes on the target only. Avoid the human. His squad moved into position. Vexthul attached the atmospheric override to the classroom's environmental controls. Seals engaging, seal failure. The door mechanisms aren't responding properly. Override them. I am overriding them, Commander. The system's accepting my commands, but the physical seals won't. Vexthul's voice rose in pitch. Deploying gas anyway. Through his helmet's chemical sensors, Zilax detected the Viridian compound flooding the ventilation system. Colorless, odorless, lethal within 3 breaths to every species in that classroom. He watched the concentration levels rise, 10%, 30%, 50%. Charlotte Brown sneezed. Just once. A quick, sharp achoo that made her scrunch up her nose. She pulled a tissue from her bag, wiped her face, and went right back to taking notes. Gas concentration at 90%, Vexthul reported, voice strangled. She's still conscious. All the other students are showing distress signs, but the human just... She sneezed at it. Zilax's thermal imaging showed the other 16 students slumping in their chairs, the gas doing its work. But Charlotte's heat signature was doing something impossible, cycling through temperatures no living being should survive. Her surface temperature plummeted to 250 Kelvin, frost patterns forming in the air around her, then spiked to 340 Kelvin in the span of a heartbeat, then back to ambient. She was thermoregulating through temperature ranges that should boil or freeze her cellular structure. She's not even sweating, another squad member whispered. Deploy sonic disruption, Zilax ordered. Frequency 17, full intensity. Maybe we can disorient her long enough to... The high-frequency pulse screamed through the walls, calibrated to cause immediate neural disruption and disorientation. Through the observation panel, Zilax saw every remaining conscious student clutch their heads in agony. Charlotte frowned, tilted her head slightly, then reached into her bag and pulled out a pair of earbuds. She plugged them into her datapad, turned up whatever music she was listening to, and continued her homework with a slight smile. She's ignoring it, Vexthul said. Commander, the sonic weapon is at full power. It should be liquefying her inner ear structures. Cut it. Cut everything. Zilax checked his rifle's power cell. 87% charge, more than enough for a clean kill on the target. He moved toward the classroom door. I'm going in personally, manual execution. The rest of you... His rifle's display flickered, then died. Commander, Vexthul's weapon was sparking. My plasma array just failed. Power cell shows full charge, but the weapon won't. Around the squad, weapons began malfunctioning. Kinetic accelerators jammed. Energy weapons powered down. Molecular disruptors showed critical error codes. She's doing something, another assassin hissed. Some kind of electromagnetic field, a defensive. She's doing homework, Zilax snarled. But even as he said it, his own equipment was failing. 40 years of experience had taught him to recognize when a situation was deteriorating beyond recovery. Kael'thas, escalate this to Sector Command now. I need full intelligence on human biology before we proceed. Already done, Kael'thas replied, and Zilax could hear rapid typing in the background. I'm pulling every classified file on Earth. Commander, this is Ancestral Spirits Preserve Us. Atmospheric pressure on Earth, 101.3 kilopascals. Do you understand what that means? That's crush depth for most species. They evolved in an environment that would flatten our internal organs. Get to the tactical implications. The tactical implications are that she's probably not even aware there's a threat. To her, our gas is a minor allergen, our sonic weapons are annoying background noise, and our equipment. Kael'thas paused. Human bodies generate significant electromagnetic fields as a byproduct of their neural activity. In their high-pressure, high-gravity environment, it's negligible. Here, with our more delicate systems. Inside the classroom, Charlotte looked up from her datapad. She glanced around at the slumped students, her expression shifting from concentration to concern. Commander, she's noticed, Vexthul warned. Charlotte raised her hand. Professor Xylia, I think something's wrong with the air system. Everyone looks really tired. Professor Xylia didn't respond, already unconscious from the gas. Charlotte stood up, frowning now. Professor? She looked around at her classmates, her concern deepening. Hey, is everyone okay? She's moving toward the door, one of Zilax's squad reported, panic bleeding through trained composure. Commander, what are our orders? Zilax watched Charlotte walk toward the classroom exit, toward the hallway where 12 elite assassins stood with malfunctioning weapons and no viable plan. The girl was worried about her classmates. She had no idea she was walking into a kill squad's position. She had no idea she was the reason the kill squad was falling apart. Scatter formation, Zilax ordered, his 4 decades of experience crystallizing into one undeniable truth. Whatever happens, do not let her know we're hostile. Charlotte's hand reached for the door handle. The door slid open. Charlotte Brown stood in the doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking directly at 12 armed figures in full tactical gear positioned throughout the hallway. Oh, her face brightened with understanding. Are you guys here for the fire drill? Nobody told us about that. Zilax's mind raced. Maintain cover. Blend. Retreat. He raised one hand in what he hoped was a calming gesture, using the other to signal his squad to fall back. Wait. Charlotte's eyes narrowed as she looked more closely at their equipment. Those aren't fire safety tools. Are you... Security? Did something happen? Is there an actual emergency? She took a step forward into the hallway. Miss, please return to your classroom, Zilax managed, his voice strained. This is a routine. Then why are you holding weapons? Charlotte pointed at Vexthul's plasma rifle. That's military-grade hardware. What's going on? Vexthul's nerve broke. Maybe it was the mission stress. Maybe it was 40 minutes of impossible scanner readings and equipment failures. Maybe it was the primal terror of being examined by a Deathworld predator wearing a teenager's face. He raised his neural disruptor and fired at point-blank range. The pulse hit Charlotte square in the chest, enough concentrated neural disruption to instantly shut down the nervous system of anything from a Corvan warbeast to a Draxian dreadnought commander. Charlotte staggered back one step. Ow! She looked down at her chest, then up at Vexthul, her expression shifting from confusion to genuine annoyance. Dude, what the hell? That actually hurt a little. Impossible, Vexthul whispered. That's impossible. That weapon delivers 50,000 neural disruption pulses per... You shot me, Charlotte's voice rose. Why would you... Three more squad members panicked and opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed down the hallway. Kinetic rounds punched through the air at hypersonic velocity. A molecular disruptor hummed its deadly frequency. Every weapon that still functioned discharged at the human girl who shouldn't have survived the first shot. Charlotte ducked. It was pure reflex, a teenage girl's instinctive response to things flying at her face. But to Zilax's enhanced combat perception, it was like watching a ship engage hyperspace. 1 millisecond Charlotte was standing upright, the next she was in a crouch, and his brain couldn't process the transition between those states. The weapons fire passed through empty space where she'd been. You guys are shooting at me? Charlotte's voice cracked with disbelief and rising anger. She swore, a short, sharp human curse word, and suddenly she was moving. Zilax had fought in 17 major campaigns. He'd seen Corvin berserkers in full battle rage. He'd watched Xinthian shock troops execute combat drops from orbit. He thought he understood what fast meant. He was wrong. Charlotte moved at what was probably a normal speed for a human teenager, maybe 4-5 meters per second. A casual jog. To the squad of assassins adapted to 0.4 G station gravity, it looked like a kinetic missile had gained sentience and decided to be angry. The nearest assassin tried to bring his rifle up. Charlotte's hand, just swatting the weapon aside really, an annoyed gesture, connected with the reinforced stock. The rifle crumpled like tissue paper. The assassin went flying backward, hit the reinforced wall hard enough to crack the structural plating, and slumped down unconscious. What? Charlotte stared at her hand, then at the assassin-shaped crater in the wall. Why is everything here made of paper? Fall back, Zilax shouted, but his squad was already scattering, too slowly. Charlotte wasn't even fighting, Zilax realized with dawning horror. She was defending herself with the same annoyed swats someone might use on persistent insects. But each motion, each casual block or push, was delivered with the muscle density of a Deathworld predator and the kinetic force of someone who'd learned to move in crushing gravity. Another assassin went through a support pillar. The structural beam bent. "Stop moving so slow," Charlotte yelled, frustration clear in her voice. "And stop shooting." Vexithul tried one more neural disruptor pulse. Charlotte caught his wrist mid-fire, just grabbed it the way you'd grab a friend's arm to get their attention, and Vexithul's reinforced combat armor crumpled like aluminum foil. He screamed, "Oh my God, I'm sorry!" Charlotte immediately let go, genuine distress on her face. "I didn't mean to. Why is your armor so fragile? What is this stuff made of?" She looked around at the chaos, the damaged walls, the unconscious assassins, the squad members scrambling away from her in obvious terror, and her expression shifted to confused hurt. "I just wanted to use the bathroom," she said, voice small. "Why are you all—" The hallway's structural supports groaned. Somewhere, an alarm started wailing. Emergency bulkheads began sliding into place, trying to contain what the station's AI had classified as a Class 5 containment breach. Charlotte stood in the center of the destruction, scraped knuckles and bewildered expression, surrounded by what used to be the galaxy's most elite assassination squad. Zilax, pressed against the far wall with 3 cracked ribs and a shattered pride, understood with perfect clarity. They hadn't encountered a threat. They'd encountered a completely normal human teenager having a bad day, and that was so much worse. 30 seconds. That's how long it took for Charlotte Brown, age 16, to completely incapacitate 12 of the galaxy's most lethal operatives. She hadn't even meant to. Station security arrived to find the hallway looking like a combat zone. Structural supports bent at impossible angles, wall plating crumpled, scorch marks from weapons fire, and 12 figures in tactical gear sprawled unconscious across the debris field. In the center of it all stood a teenage girl in a school uniform, examining her scraped knuckles with a concerned frown. "Finally!" Charlotte turned to Security Chief Jotaro as he emerged from the emergency stairwell, weapon drawn. "These guys shot at me. I just wanted to use the bathroom. Jitaro's 6 eyes took in the scene, his weapon slowly lowering. You did this? I was defending myself, Charlotte gestured at the unconscious assassins. They fired first. I don't even know what that, she pointed at Vexthul's neural disruptor, was supposed to do, but it hurt. And then everyone started shooting and I reacted. Her voice cracked slightly. I didn't mean to break everything, or them. Are they okay? Jitaro ran a bioscan over the nearest fallen assassin. Unconscious, multiple fractures, severe contusions, but alive. He looked at Charlotte with new wariness. All alive. Oh, thank God, Charlotte sagged with relief. I was holding back as much as I could, but they kept coming and I panicked. Holding back, Jitaro repeated slowly. Against the far wall, Zilax groaned back to consciousness. Pain lanced through his ribs, 3 definitely cracked, maybe 4. Through blurred vision, he saw Charlotte talking to station security, saw his entire squad scattered like broken toys, saw the Draxian target still visible through the classroom window behind them. The target, still safe, still completely unaware. The human had never been the target. She'd just been in the way. They deployed lethal gas, sonic weapons, and military-grade firearms on a bystander, a child who just wanted to use the bathroom, and she'd apologized for breaking them. I need to review the security footage, Jitaro was saying, pulling up his command tablet. The video played back, Charlotte ducking, moving, defending herself. To human eyes, it would have looked quick but natural. To Jitaro's perception, calibrated for 0.4 G station standard, it was like watching something phase between positions. By the ancestors, she's moving at relaxed human speed. Is that bad? Charlotte asked nervously. Run a medical scan on her, Jitaro ordered his deputy. Full biological workup. The deputy's scanning device hummed over Charlotte. Results populated the screen. The deputy's mandibles clicked in confusion. Sir, the bone density reading must be wrong. It's showing 4 times galactic standard, and the muscle fiber density is, the scanner says, measurement error. It can't get an accurate reading. Try her reflexes. The deputy activated the reflex test, a standard baseline used across the galaxy. Charlotte's results came back as beyond instrumentation parameters. Jitaro looked at Charlotte, really looked at her. Young face, scraped knuckles, nervous expression, backpack with doodles on it, a homework assignment visible through the partially open zipper. She's a child, he said quietly. She's a child from Earth. This is a juvenile. I'm 16, Charlotte offered. Is that relevant? The emergency stairwell burst open again. Kael'thas rushed in, saw the carnage, and froze. Zilax, Commander, report. He took in the scene, his scales shifting to a pale fear color. Oh no! Oh no no no! They tried to kill her, Jitaro said flatly. She defended herself. Kael'thas looked at Charlotte, then at his. Broken assassination squad, then back at Charlotte. You're the human, the exchange student. That's me, Charlotte said, sounding tired. Can someone please explain what's happening? Why did these people attack me? Kael'thas was already on his comm. Cancel all active contracts. Every single one. If there's a human within 100 meters of any target, the contract is void immediately. Yes, I'm serious. Yes, all of them. I don't care about the financial penalties. Have you seen what just happened here? They were trying to kill someone in my class, weren't they? Charlotte's eyes widened with realization. The gas. Everyone passed out except me. They were assassins. Elite assassins, Jitaro confirmed. The Velkari are legendary. 12 of them together could take down a military installation. Charlotte looked at the unconscious forms scattered around her. They were elite? Her voice carried genuine confusion. But they couldn't even hit me, and their equipment kept breaking when I touched it. And they moved so slow, she paused. Wait, is this a gravity thing? Is the station gravity different from Earth? The station maintains 0.4 G standard, Jitaro said. Oh. Charlotte looked down at her hands. Oh, so when I move normally, I'm like super strong here? Understanding dawned on her face, followed immediately by horror. Oh my God, I could have killed them. You held back, Zilax rasped from the floor, finally finding his voice. 40 years. 40 years I've never failed a contract, and I got defeated by a child who was holding back. I mean, I didn't want to hurt anyone, Charlotte said. You were just really aggressive, and I got scared, and she looked around at the destruction again. My mom is going to kill me. The school's going to expel me for sure. Jataro's communicator chirped. He glanced at it, then at Charlotte. The Galactic Council is already calling this the hallway incident. You're not expelled. You're being classified as a diplomatic asset that requires careful handling. I just want to finish my homework, Charlotte said quietly. In the background, medics were loading the assassins onto grav stretchers. Kael'thas was still on his comm, systematically canceling contracts across 3 sectors. The Draxian target emerged from the classroom, completely unaware that a political assassination had just failed because a human teenager needed to use the restroom. Can I go now? Charlotte asked. The emergency broadcast went out across every criminal network in 3 sectors simultaneously. Galactic Assassins Guild, priority alert. New engagement protocols, effective immediately. In secure channels from the outer rim to core worlds, assassins, mercenaries, and contract killers watched the footage. Watched a human teenager casually dismantle the legendary Velkari squad. Watched her apologize for the destruction. The new protocol was simple. Do not engage targets if humans present within 100 meters. Violation would result in immediate contract cancellation and guild membership revocation. No exceptions. In the station medical bay, Zilax stared at the ceiling while doctors repaired his cracked ribs. 3 beds over, Vex Thul was having his arm reconstructed. The rest of the squad filled the remaining beds, a monument to professional humiliation. 40 years, Zilax said to no one in particular. I'm done. I'm retiring. Commander, Vex Thul started. She was holding back, Vex. A 16-year-old child who didn't want to hurt us was holding back, and she still put all 12 of us in medical. Zilax closed his eyes. I'm getting a desk job, maybe landscaping, something where I won't encounter Deathworlders. 2 floors down, Kael'thas was implementing the new human proximity alert system, tagging every active contract with real-time human location tracking. His fingers moved rapidly across his datapad, decades of careful planning being rewritten in a single afternoon. Sir, his assistant ventured, the financial losses from the cancelled contracts are nothing compared to the cost of replacing entire assassination squads, Kael'thas interrupted. We're updating the threat assessment database. Humans are now classified as avoid at all costs, regardless of age, size, or apparent threat level. Even the children? Kael'thas pulled up the medical scan data from Charlotte Brown. Especially the children, they're still growing. In Principal Zilia's office, she'd recovered from the gas exposure after 20 minutes. Charlotte sat in the chair across from the desk, backpack in her lap, trying not to fidget. Am I expelled? She asked quietly. Principal Zilia looked at the repair estimates on her screen. The hallway damage alone would cost 2.3 million credits. 3 support beams needed complete replacement. The structural integrity of that entire section was compromised, but Charlotte had been defending herself against trained killers, using lethal weapons. Station law was clear, justified self-defense. You're not expelled, Principal Zilia said carefully. However, we do need to discuss containment protocols. I didn't mean to break everything. I know you didn't. That's what makes this complicated. The principal pulled off her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose. Miss Brown, you acted within your rights, but the repair costs are substantial, and the station council is concerned about future incidents. I'll be more careful, Charlotte promised. I'll take the long way to the bathrooms so I don't walk past any more situations. Just Principal Zelia sighed. Just try not to break any more assassins. Please. Charlotte's surprised laugh burst out before she could stop it. I'll try, but maybe tell them not to shoot at students? Despite everything, Principal Zelia found herself smiling. That seems fair. 10 minutes later, Charlotte slipped back into classroom 7B. Her classmates were awake now, confused about why they'd all passed out but otherwise fine. Professor Zelia, no relation to the principal, was reorganizing the lesson plan. Charlotte raised her hand. Professor, I missed the quiz. Can I make it up? Professor Zelia, who had seen the security footage, who had watched this small human girl dismantle a legendary death squad with casual efficiency, who had read the emergency bulletins now flooding the station networks, looked at Charlotte Brown and felt her survival instincts scream. Yes, she said immediately. Yes, of course. Take it whenever you're ready. Take your time. No pressure. Charlotte beamed. Thanks. I'll do it after school today if that's okay. Perfectly fine. Absolutely fine. Whatever works for you. Across the galaxy, news networks were already running the story. Deathworld human ends assassination attempt calls it rude. Scrolled across screens in a dozen languages. Political analysts debated the implications. Military strategists updated their threat assessments. The Draxian counselor quietly withdrew his spawn from the station, deciding the education wasn't worth the risk. Charlotte pulled out her datapad and opened her messaging app. Charlotte. Weird day at school. Some guys interrupted class. Everything's fine now. She hit send, then returned to copying down the equations Professor Zelia was projecting. Around her, classmates whispered about the environmental failure that had made them all pass out, completely unaware of how close they'd come to being collateral damage in an interstellar political assassination. 3 minutes later, her datapad buzzed. Mom, that's nice, dear. Don't forget your homework. Charlotte smiled, typed back a quick acknowledgement, and refocused on her math notes. The equations were actually pretty interesting once you got into the theory behind them. In the hallway outside, maintenance crews were still cutting through the bent support beams, shaking their heads at the damage. Station security had tripled patrols around the school. The Assassins Guild had added Charlotte's schedule to their database with a permanent avoid flag, and Charlotte Brown, completely oblivious to her new status as the galaxy's most effective deterrent against political violence, worked through her algebra homework and wondered what was for lunch. Turns out, being from a death world didn't make you special. It just made you normal in ways the rest of the galaxy couldn't survive.